Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Gaming Mama and this is episode 3 of my Pink Paradise world. Today we are going to start work and hopefully complete work on building our first pond. The first thing that I'm doing obviously is just breaking away some blocks and clearing a space and making kind of a rough layout for how I want this pond to look. And I can tweak things later on as we go along, but this for now is just me clearing some blocks to just get a rough idea and a rough layout of the size and shape of the pond that I am making. Hopefully by now you have seen the video where I explained the problems that I had with building a pond on this world and the methods that I looked into to resolve this problem. And for me, this method was the prettiest and also the most effective. So let's get going. I'm using glowstone because I discovered that ponds and water blocks on this world tend to freeze over. This is a flat world, tunneler's dream, and it doesn't like water particularly. So therefore, with this world, in order to keep my blocks from turning to ice, I am using a nice round blanket of glowstone. And then over the top of that, just to keep with the pink theme and keep it more pink and pretty, I am adding cherry leaf blocks on top of the glowstone. Just because that way it's not too bright, it's not too harsh, and it's not too brown and ugly looking. So that is what I am doing right now. And then just to remove some of those harsh edges and give it less of a man-made look, even though obviously we all know it is, or woman-made in this case, I'm just going along and just carving out some more shape into this pond. Sorry, I got a little frog in my throat. So yeah, what was I saying? I'm carving out some more shape into this pond, just so it looks a bit less stiff and rigid and harsh looking, and just hopefully softens it up and gives it a nope, my brain's gone to sleep. Let's just get on with it, shall we? I'm going in and I am putting my blocks in at slightly different heights just to add a little bit more depth and texture, and just because I don't want it to look like one of those. My granddad's pond comes to mind. When I was a kid, he had this pond and it was a very rigid rectangular pond. And that was it. There was no extra dimension, there was no shape, there was no depth. It was just a regular rectangle pond, and I do not want my pond to look like that. Not this one anyway. Later on, you never know, I might go back and make one of those style ponds as just like a kind of, this is a childhood memory honouring my granddad kind of thing. But for now, I want this to have lots of depth, lots of dimension, texture, just a more natural feel to it. So you might notice that my voiceovers are still a little bit wonky, and I say a lot and so a lot, and that is basically because I still can't actually see what is happening on the screen when recording my voiceovers. And I am kind of flying blind when doing this, because I get a big purple screen with a microphone symbol on it. So I can't actually see the actual gameplay while I am recording my voiceovers. Therefore, I kind of have to sort of like stumble over and try and remember exactly what is happening on the screen, because I watched the next sort of clip ahead before I start to do my voiceover, and then I go back and do the voiceover and then slot it into place, and I kind of have to try and remember what's going on. So that's why my voiceovers are a little bit umming and ahhing and I forgot what's actually going on the screen. I didn't want this pond to have harsh grassy edging around it, so I went round and I took out all of the edge blocks around the pond and then replaced those with some cherry leaves as well, just to kind of keep that flow going, and then it transition into grass after that. And I think it actually looks better. I mean, other people might not think it looks better. They might think the whole thing looks awful if, you know, pink cherry blocks and pink cherry leaves and a whole pink world isn't their thing. They might absolutely hate this. But for me, I personally feel that it looks better and it kind of feels softer by replacing those edge grass blocks with the cherry leaf blocks instead. With the cherry leaf blocks, the cherry pretty pink block thingies not being solid blocks, I didn't actually take into account that it was actually going to be trickier than I anticipated to actually then flood the pond with the water. And I can't lie, I actually struggled with this a little bit. It was definitely more difficult than I anticipated, and I've done some, you know, more complex and difficult things on Minecraft than this. I've made like massive great big castles and things like that, so I was surprised actually, but I actually found this to be a little bit on the tricky side to add the water into this pond. But really it was just a case of sucking it up and just pushing through it until it kind of balanced out. And then I did actually get some help from my 10-year-old who told me in the areas where I was struggling, and I can't believe I never knew this. This was something I didn't actually knew. No. Whatever. That actually, if you put down a dirt block and then put the water, you use the dirt block to guide you putting in the water and then removing the dirt block, that actually made it so much easier. And that is something that I didn't know and I wish I knew, and I'm really, really grateful that my 10-year-old taught me that trick. And also she kind of told me that I had to give her a shout out for telling her this and not to take the credit for it. So thanks, baby girl, I appreciate you. And then just to make the transition between the cherry leaf blocks and the grass just that little bit softer, I just went around and just threw down some pink petals, just to kind of keep that pink flow going into the grass a bit and just kind of just soften up that transition a little bit. My 10-year-old did want me to put axolotls in here, but then of course we remembered that actually in order to stop them from escaping we would have to put some fencing in as well. So decided to veto that idea and just chuck some fish in, just to give, you know, because what's the point in having a pond with nothing in it? So we just quickly just threw in some fish. And then of course, just to sorry, I have a frog in my throat. Just to make it a bit more homely and somewhere where you could potentially sit and chill, we just threw in some seating, just made some quick pink benches and threw down some lanterns just to give it a more cozy vibe, and also just carried on putting down some of the pink petals just to try and keep that nice kind of soft flow and transition between the pink pond and the grass and the seating area. And then finally, I went in and I added some more cherry blossom trees and some more azalea trees and a couple of mini azaleas in pots. And also just chuck down some bone meal. I kind of like the when you put down the bone meal around the trees, and it adds that kind of just that more natural soft texture to the grass. The one thing I realized I did forget to do was I forgot to put down any firefly bushes, and I like that soft fairy in the upside down kind of vibe. So I am actually going to go back and do that once I have finished editing this video. But that was everything. And that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much if you stuck around to the end and watched the whole video. Please do like, comment and subscribe. Even if you didn't like the video, comment on it anyway and tell me why you thought it was naff. Because that actually helps me out a huge amount. And currently this tiny little channel at the time of filming this video has got 5 subscribers, and I would really like to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And I might be pushing my luck a little bit there, but that's what I'm really hoping for. So please do like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye.